The UK food system is in crisis. It's a major contributor to climate change, to biodiversity loss, and to the depletion of soil and water resources. The H3 programme aims to transform the UK food system, working at a range of scales, from the lab to the farm to the landscape, out into schools and cities. We aim to produce a more sustainable, a more resilient, and a healthier food system.
I've come to Portway Farm in Cambridgeshire, and as an agroecology researcher, I'm really excited to find out what farmers in this part of the country are doing to transition away from the unsustainable practices of the last century, which degraded biodiversity both above and below ground and which contributed to climate change. Now we're moving to a new system of more sustainable farming, which they call regenerative agriculture. But what are they regenerating and how?
Yeah, so we are practicing Regen Ag, which is basically where we try hard not to move the ground at all. Our sort of mantra is diversity in living roots. So we're trying to get as much living plants and the roots that go with that, and we're trying to get as much diversity in the crop as possible. And the reason why we do that is that helps with soil biology, it helps improve the structure of the soil, and ultimately leads to a farming experience that is more resilient to climate change, uses less artificial inputs, and hopefully provides more biodiversity on the farm. As soon as I started Regen Ag, you start getting more interested in soil. As we grow living roots, as we leave our soil alone, we expect that soil to restructure itself. So we've got some great, it's only starting its journey, so it's still a little bit clumpy, but it's breaking up really nicely here. Lots of roots in between there.
Oh, and there's a worm you can see, so it's also really alive. Now, in the H3 project, we're planning to measure the crumb structure of the soil in this field and in other fields where they're not practicing regenerative agriculture yet, looking at how the carbon accumulates in the larger aggregates in the soil, and these structural elements are really important for how the soil holds water and how well it drains as plants are growing in it.
Sure, and we're really interested in carbon capture. Obviously that's one of the sort of really exciting things about regenerative agriculture, and anything that can help us sort of collect that data is really, really, really needed.
This long-term project gives us a fantastic opportunity to work with real farmers in real landscapes, scientifically measuring and communicating the effects of this transition to a more regenerative system that produces a healthy living soil, which itself underpins a healthy ecosystem and produces healthy, nutritious food.
I'm a researcher at the University of Sheffield, researching sustainable agricultural technologies. An example of this is hydroponics in the urban environment. We're looking at the feasibility of these types of systems at a variety of locations, including at the sustainable food cooperative Regather. What's Regather's involvement in the H3 project?
We're really interested in ways of improving productivity and looking at using land that isn't suitable for conventional soil-based horticulture or agriculture. We want to explore ideas of health and nutritional content of hydroponically and aquaponically grown produce, and how that fits with our vision for a more sustainable and more healthy and fair food system for Sheffield and of course other cities all around the world.
So what is hydroponics? Hydroponics is the science of growing plants without using soil, and it gives us the ability to control very carefully the nutrients and water that we use. A fantastic part of hydroponics is that you can deploy it in places that you wouldn't normally grow food. Here we're growing beans, basil, rocket, peppers and tomatoes.
It offers advantages in terms of space, high efficiency, using land which might otherwise not be suitable for cultivation, might be contaminated in urban areas. And also this provides an opportunity then to produce food really close to where the consumers are. So the food chains become really short and efficient. We've actually got a local labour supply here in this urban environment. So it brings people and food much closer together as a result.
Of course, there are challenges with hydroponics. One is cost, and because these systems are conventionally run as sterile units, the plants are never primed for any defence against pest and disease. Our work within the H3 project looks to modify these systems to reduce cost and prime the defences of the plants so that they will be ready for any kind of attack. The idea of doing this in the urban environment is so that we can provide food to people as fresh and as nutritious as possible.
My research is all about breakfast, and how we can help people to have a healthy, nutritious breakfast throughout life. So that's why I've come to Arbourthorne Primary School to find out more about their breakfast club.
Breakfast clubs are important because it gives children the opportunity to restart their morning. Lots of things might have happened that morning, they might have woke up late, they might have missed their bus, so it gives them the chance to come into school, have a good breakfast, a nutritious breakfast, and then that enables them to focus and start their learning at 9 o'clock when the bell goes.
How can H3 work with Magic Breakfast to support the work that you're doing?
So all the food that Magic Breakfast provides meets school food standards. We are always looking to diversify our options to give children more choice in the morning, but also to improve the nutritional content of the food that we provide, and it's great to know that there's evidence out there and research to support that.
We know that the foods that we like as children and the habits that we develop as children track through into our adult life. What we'd like to do in the H3 project is to study school breakfast programmes as a vehicle to increase the fibre intake in children. We'd also like to work with adults and their fibre intake, and so that's why we're partnering with Cracking Good Food in Manchester.
We are at St Barnabas Church in Hattersley, and it's Onward Homes who have commissioned us to work with their community members who receive the food, and we share with them inspiring recipes, what they can do best with the food in order to reduce food waste. There's real passion throughout the team about making sure that everybody has access to good food, because everybody deserves good food.
We are developing new foods within H3, but we need to know that consumers are willing to consume them, that they like them, and that they'll be willing to pay for them.
So in H3, I'm working with a team that is looking at aspects of consumer acceptability of the novel foods and ways of producing food that H3 is coming up with. We'll do this both in the lab setting as well as in consumers' homes, as well as taking samples of the population and looking at what consumers are willing to consume, what they're willing to pay in terms of a premium, and how acceptable the product is to them.
H3 will transform the UK food system, applying cutting-edge research from the ground up to solve the problems that are caused by the production, supply, and consumption of our food. Together with our partners in business, civil society, and government, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to create a food system that is sustainable and fair for everyone.